Aiyana Mitchell and Jane Juice-Walla, along with head coach Shea Ralph. We will go ahead and open the floor up for questions for the players first. If you have any questions for Aiyana or Juice, please raise your hand. Aiyana Morris, Vandy Sports.
Either one of you, I guess. What do you all feel like you learned over that tournament in California, and just how do you guys think you'll grow from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just as playing like a team and like our communication, we really harped on that in practice and just like being like a cohesive unit. And I think it showed really well today.
Brandon Bixby, Vandy Sports.
Aiyana, it feels like we've really seen you grow a ton as a player from this season compared to last. What do you feel like has been the biggest step in your development over the last few weeks?
I feel like with my team, they continue to like challenge me in practice, especially, and it really helps me be more comfortable and get more confidence. Like my team really builds me up.
All right, Gerson, Tennessee.
Juice, obviously it's a little bit of a different role that you're playing here than you were at Pepperdine. What do you see as kind of the differences, and what do you think that being here kind of allows you to do?
Yeah, it's just, the record alone kind of speaks volume. Just like, it's a lot of winning culture here, and it's great. And I just think, Coach Ralph really puts us in great positions to be successful. And really being here allows me to be more of a leader and allows me to find that niche. Like at Pepperdine, I was a leader too, but here it just looks a little different. So I'm enjoying that challenge being here.
Aiyana Morris, Vandy Sports.
I don't know, how did it feel getting your first career start today?
It felt good. A little nerve-wracking, but like I said, my team is really, really supportive, and my staff were like, you got to just do the same thing you've been doing. So I was pretty confident that with the support of everyone, it was going to go well.
Any more questions for the players? Connor Campbell, Vandy Hustler.
Aiyana, how did you feel about that performance? I mean, you were really bodying down there, but how would you kind of grade yourself today?
I think I still have things to work on. I feel like with practice and just more experience, I'll build on it, but I think just continuing to be aggressive and do my role, I'll get further. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys can take off.
Aiyana and Juice, you guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you guys can
Yeah.
take off. Yeah. Go take a shower.
It's been real.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
And we will just wait till the door closes there, and then we will go ahead and start with Coach Ralph. Coach Ralph will just take your opening statement after today's win over Appalachia State.
I think it was a good response today from kind of the highs and lows of the road trip that we were just on. But that's why we scheduled the trip. Felt like this team was ready for it, for that kind of test on the road. Travel, lots of games in a short period of time against really good opponents. And the goal is to learn as much as you can so that you can continue to improve. And in a lot of ways, the way that the Michigan State game ended was very disappointing. But I also think that the way that it ended lit a little bit of a fire inside of our players to understand that some of the things that we can fix right now that don't relate to X's and O's or basketball strategy. It's more intangible things that great teams need to have to be great when it matters. And you guys hear me talk about this every single time I come in here. There are disappointing moments, but when you lose the way that we did, because we lost that game. We lost it. They didn't beat us, and credit to them because they are very good. They played very hard. They outplayed us. They out-hustled us. They outworked us. That's a tough way to lose a game. So I feel like the team really responded well. We came home. We had a long day of travel. We turned around and had 2 really tough practices. And I felt like today we looked more like a team than we have the past 2 or 3 games that we played from start to finish. And so I'm really proud about the growth that we had today. And then I thought also you saw some different players step up and contribute. The way the season goes, you're going to have players in and out of the lineups, spraying this, hurt that. And the beauty of having a really good team is that you don't really miss a beat. And I felt like we did a good job of that today as well.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. Aiyana Morris, VandySports.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned just kind of different players stepping up with hurt injuries and things like that. What's the status of Camille Pierre and going on with
She'll
that?
be day to day. She just had a little twisted ankle in practice, so she'll be day to day. We have a really, really good training staff that just works magic. So who knows? But I think that's the best way to approach it for her, for us. Already from when it happened, she's light years better. But being able to give her a day of rest today could only help her as we move forward. I don't know if she'll play or not against Miami. I have no idea. It just depends on literally every hour of treatment that she gets and her response from that.
You said you learned a lot from that Michigan State game. What were some of the points of emphasis that you got from that game that you wanted to translate to today, and how did you think that the team responded to those?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. How much time do we have? I can sit here. Let me get my list out. I need my phone. The first is probably having a next play mentality and understanding what contributions we need from each player that don't show up on the stat sheet. So I thought our transition defense was horrible. I thought we did not box out and rebound. I thought when we missed open shots, we hung our head. And I thought that our communication on defense was maybe the worst that we've had it collectively since we started playing games this year. All that being said, and all those things, and there's probably 10 or 15 more. All that being said, we still were in position to win the game. So that's a good takeaway too. And I told them that after the game. All the things that we did that were so disappointing to watch, and I know experience for them. All that being said, we still were in position to win the game. We missed wide open threes and layups that I think would have put the game away. And then that's what I mean. We hang our head, we give them something easy on the other end, and then that's how you lose. That's how you lose a big game. You can't do that. You're not going to make every shot. You're not going to make every great play. You're not going to get every rebound that you go for. But you can't let it be easy for them to pull away in a big moment. So I feel like the experience of that, how it felt for them at the end of that game, in the locker room, on the trip home, the practice after, how that felt, I think really taught our players a valuable lesson collectively as a unit on how we have to approach each moment in a game, whether we win by whatever we won by today or in a tight game all the way to the end.
I know you mentioned the disappointment of the Michigan State game and the two tough practices after. You wouldn't have thought it with that first quarter, 33-2, you guys outscored them. Did you feel like that kind of served as a bit of a extra motivation for your team in that first quarter, or did you feel like it was just more you guys hitting on all cylinders and really executing?
Probably a little bit of both. You know, we made open shots that we got. I thought our defense was really good in the beginning. Our rotations were better. Our communication was better. So it was probably a little bit of that, and probably a little bit of them just wanting to get that bad taste out of their mouth from the game, from the practices that we've had, and just show like, hey, let's show everybody, let's show ourselves first and foremost how much we've grown from that moment. And then, you know, like I told them today, there's always opportunity to learn. So I also feel like if we're going to go and do what we did in the first quarter, then the second quarter, when I start making substitutions, can't look that way. I don't care how much we're up by. We can never miss a beat. And we talk about all the pieces that we have. If you want to contribute, then when you come in, there should never be, or when you leave the game, there should never be a lack of, you know, a dip in whatever's going on the court, communication, effort. I'm not talking about made shots or missed shots, but decision-making, that kind of stuff. There should never be a time where we're close and rebounding with the team like we played today. So still opportunities to learn, but I felt like a much better start and a much better collective effort from start to finish today.
Grace Hall, Vandy. Hustler, go ahead.
Coach Jane only played a few minutes against Michigan State, but today she was, back in the starting lineup, and she scored a season high 13 points, I believe it was. Can you talk about sort of what that trend, what contributed to the lack of playing time against Michigan State, and then how you saw her rebound today?
Yeah, I don't know that there's one contributing factor. I think part of our jobs as coaches is to make sure that we put a unit out there that we think is one that can help us win the game. And I think, what you heard Jane talk about today is I don't ever worry. She's one kid I never worry about with playing time. She just wants to do what she can do to help the team win. She told me that the first conversation we had. We were playing around with a bunch of different pieces in the Michigan State game, and I thought for the most part they were okay. And so when I feel like a unit's okay out there, I'm not going to just start taking people in and out unless I feel like they need a blow. I also think what that game taught me was that we probably do need more contributions from more players at different times. And we have to get comfortable with what that looks like, which is why you saw me try so many different lineups today. Because I need to know what I'm going to get from each lineup and each player in different lineups. And I think that Michigan State game, because of the pace of the game, gave us kind of an inkling of what we need to do a little bit differently with the players that we have. So kind of twofold. There was no real reason. We just had some players out there that I felt like were good out there, and then they got tired. And so we got to make sure that we do our part as coaches to not miss a beat in terms of who needs a break, when do I need to call a timeout, what are we going to get from the kids on the bench, and then make it happen.
All right, Peterson, Francine?
Yeah, Shea, bringing in both Jane and Leilani, who had a lot of experience kind of being starters and playing really big roles with their previous teams, and then kind of having them be more role players on your team. What are the challenges associated with doing that, and how have they adapted to the roles that they're playing on this year's team?
Yeah, I think if they were different kids, then it would be more challenging. Luckily, when we talked to them in the recruiting process, the big thing for them was wanting to win and play on a team that could potentially be a team that makes a run in the NCAA tournament. And I knew what each of them brought to the table was something that we were missing to do that. So the challenge really is just making sure that they understand their value. And that honestly is for all of our players, that they understand their value, that they're comfortable in the role that they're playing. And honestly, I don't worry about it with either of them, that their confidence stays high because they've contributed and played so much basketball. They understand what this is. They understand what it looks like. As long as I'm communicating transparently with them, this is what I need you to do. This is how I need you to do it. This is why I made that decision. Then they're good. They just want to win. So again, when you have a team full of kids that are really good players, and I learned this a long time ago, as long as you're clear with everybody on what the mission of the team is, the goal of the team is, and you have winners on your team that want to win before they want me, then you're going to be okay. Those two kids are the most selfless kids on our team. Two of the most selfless kids on our team. I never worry about them. I've never worried about how they feel about their role, and they just continue to get better and build trust and confidence with their team, and you see the results of that. They're two kids that we're probably going to have on the floor a lot as we come down into January, February, and March.
All right, last rounds of questions. We'll go ahead and do Connor first. Go ahead.
You're looking forward to another P5 matchup against Miami. What are you excited for? What are you looking to see from your girls, and what's kind of the practice is going to look like, or the two practices going to look like before going there?
I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to get down there and compete. I think they're a really good team. They brought in a lot of new pieces like we did. And what I'd like to see, similar to what we were talking about earlier, in some of the disappointing things that happened in the Michigan State game, I'd like us to see us improve from that. I think they're going to test us defensively. They run a bunch of different defenses. They have some experienced players at the guard position, some players in the post that are tall and finesse, and some that'll bully us down low if we let them. I'd like to see us make better decisions. I'd like to see us play as a cohesive unit. I'd like to see what my team looks like at its best. I don't think that we've seen that yet. So I'm hopeful that when we go down there and we compete on Wednesday night, that's what we all see.
Brandon, go ahead.
You mentioned kind of rotating the lineups a little bit and trying a few different things. Do you feel like there was anything that you maybe learned about your team today that you didn't really know about prior, or was it just more or less kind of just trying to tinker and see maybe what works?
I don't think I learned anything that I didn't know they were capable of. So I think that I'm starting to learn how we need to prepare a little bit better with this group. I got to keep my foot on the gas with them, and that's okay. I can do that. I have no problem with that. And they need that from me, so that's good. We're learning a lot about each other. But I also think we have a bunch of different players that can be super versatile. The challenge is, like, when you start to move around too many pieces, you don't want to let them get uncomfortable. You have to give them some time to play together in the game. So if I start to sub too much and it becomes chaotic, and they don't get time to feel comfortable together. And I would love to play Juice and Jo at the 5 because they're such good playmakers. But you guys already know in the SEC that presents a little bit of an issue with size. So we just have to find a defense and rebounding solution if I ever want to do that. But it was fun to try today and give them the opportunity to make plays for their teammates.
All right, we'll do Aiyana Morris, final question.
Yeah, right before you guys left for California, Sasha announced that she won't be able to play this
Yeah.
season. Just kind of how have you been walking her through that whole process of missing time, and how has she been able to still contribute to your team?
Yeah, it's been such an interesting thing because it's so rare, right? Like that's like a random, rare thing, not basketball related at all. And then we had a bunch of different opinions, which is why every time you guys ask me, I'm like, we're trying to get clarity because we saw as many doctors as we could. That's our job. Hey, let's find out what are the things that we can do. Apparently, it happens in football a lot, so we tried a bunch of different regimens medically with her, medication, and just never got to a point where we felt like it was comfortable or safe for her to play. And then the decision became hers. What does she want to do? How does she want to go about it? How does she want to release it? Talking to her mom about it. I think once she got past the disappointment of not playing this year, I think she started to really embrace the opportunity that it presents for her to become a better basketball player and a better teammate. And, whenever we have players out, I tell you guys this all the time, that's how I became a good player, was I had to sit and watch and I couldn't play. And I think already it's helped her leadership. It's helped her be a voice on the bench and pay attention, and her IQ is getting a little higher. And without any contact, because she's still non-contact, she's gotten in a lot better shape. She asked me to open her chocolate milk today because her arms were so sore from working with Jenna. So there's a lot of things that can come for Sasha from this. I know she wants to play basketball after Vanderbilt, and I think this year will help her in a lot of ways be more prepared to do that once she leaves here after her final year. So it's really disappointing. But again, we took as much time as we could to try to figure out a solution to get her to play, and it just never worked out. So this is the best thing for her safety, and we're all in. We're all in with her. One more for Arya.
I was just, do you know if Sasha's planning to come back and play at Vanderbilt next year?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I guess that's a good question, but she has given no indication otherwise. I can't imagine that. I think Coach Kevin would drag her back in here kicking and screaming if she tried to leave. She's one kid we don't really worry much about. She'll be back here.
All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.